Hey, this is Introvert Barry from Introverted Lifestyle, back with another edition of, I don't know, morning rant. Actually, I like to call it a conversation, really. So last night, I started thinking about something, right? And I should have recorded last night when it was fresh on my mind. I had all my ideas, in my head. I went to sleep on it, and I was like trying to remember this morning what I wanted to talk about. And it's basically a question, right? And the question is, are you really a introvert, right? Or are you just selfish, or maybe you're just confused? Um, and I only ask that question because I question myself sometimes, right? I know that I like to be to myself, right? But I've mentioned more than once that um, I don't like being alone, right? I like being to myself, but I don't like being alone, right? And then I also think about some of the things I've done, throughout my life, right? I'm the type of person that frequent the bars quite a bit, right? Um, and this is a bit awkward, when I first go into these places, right? Because I'm sober, right? And I got to deal with the voices in my head at that point. And I got to get rid of the discomfort. And then once I'm into the groove, right, tend to enjoy myself. Uh, Tend to meet people. Um, some of that liquid courage is at that point in my system and taking over. So I transitioned from the very shy and introverted to a I won't say extremely extroverted. I'll never be to that to that level where I'm or extroverted. Uh, but I do tend to enjoy myself when I'm out. So, and I do tend to meet people, and I do tend to, establish relationships and things, right? Um, those relationships are a bit awkward, right, when you're sober and you're around those people, right? Because then you gotta be yourself. But I do tend to be able to exist in that environment. And so I asked that question, right? Because I sometimes confuse myself, right? I'm like, I know I'm introverted. I know that, I gotta have that me time for myself, right? I know it's what it's the thing that recharges me and energizes me and get me back to being myself. But I'm not even sure these days, right? Am I really as introverted as I think I am? I don't know. Um, some of it has to do with a number of things, right? Because it's not only introversion that we're talking about. We're also talking about, shyness, which is is a thing for me, um, as well as maybe there's other things that are going on, lack of confidence, right? You may have lack of confidence. I deal with that as well, um, or self confidence, and so all these things, right? When you put them all together in a pot, right? You have me, right? And that may be you as well, right? And so when you're dealing with so many different things that are going on in your life and so many different behaviors and your personality and all those things, right? You start to question whether or not which one is it? Which one is the more dominant um, behavior that's taken over, right? Is it the introversion? Is it the shyness? Is it lack of self confidence? Is it something else, right? What's going on? Some trauma in your life, those type of things, right? All impact on your life and how you react and deal with people, right? And relationships and stuff like that. And so you have to be clear on what it is. And I'm trying to figure it out, right? I'm trying to figure it out. At this point now, I'm starting to confuse myself and knowing exactly where I'm at on that spectrum. When you do the Myers Briggs personality test, right? When you start answering those questions and a lot of those questions, right, where you talk about like, would you prefer reading over, going out and doing such and such, right? And we just tend to automatically just check those, right? Because we know we're introverted and it's like, oh yeah, of course we'd rather do that. But then I think about, right, especially over the last 4 or 5 months, right, is that I desire to be out in the environment, right? a lot more than I used to. Um, and I'm not quite sure why, but it's just kind of what it is. Um, I do prefer to be out. I do feel awkward when I'm out there, though. And again, that comes with a bit of comfort, right? Especially when you're doing it sober. you know, my therapist told me, he's like, "Hey, try meeting people, right, without, at a coffee shop as opposed to at a nightclub, right?" It's like, that's a challenge, right? So I went to a coffee shop and I sat down and I was like, okay, I don't like this, because I'm looking around and it just feels weird to me, right? I tell people all the time, right? Like, this goes all the way back to like high school, right? I used to never eat in the cafeteria when I was in high school. I would, if I didn't have anybody with me, right? If I was by myself, now I would just kind of go to the vending machine, grab myself a cherry Coke and an apple pie, and I would just kind of, sit outside on the steps somewhere, and that was kind of my lunch, right? I still tend to do weird things like that today. For instance, like I do drive-through when I go to lunch, and then I eat in my car, right, or in my office, instead of going to, the food court, to eat. I go to the food court, then first of all, I gotta find a table, right? And sometimes your table might be next to somebody else's seat because it's crowded in there, and I'm like, kind of weird. Kind of weird, for some people, that's just a simple thing. Like, just sit down right next to you and don't care, right? But for me, it's kind of weird, but then you feel like you gotta say something, right? You gotta, speak to the person or whatever. And so those are some things I've done pretty much all my life, right? But and so I know there's that part of me, that again does enjoy having that moment to myself, recharging my batteries, and continuing on with life. But then there's that part where I'm like, what is it? Which is the most dominant? And so it's something to ponder, right? It's a question that I ask myself. It's something I need to figure out, And with that said, I'm telling you that, as I've always said, since the beginning of this restart of the Introverted Lifestyle podcast, vlog, whatever we call it, because we still haven't given it a name yet. Because I'm just recording and just talking and having conversations. So I don't know what it's called right now. It's a podcast. It's a vlog. It's me learning about myself and sharing with you, right? Because I presume that if I'm going through these things, right, somebody else is going through the same exact thing. Bit of confusion, right? Dealing with whatever these different types of behaviors are that you're going through, whether or not you have all of them, that are part of your personality, or you have one or a few, right? So I don't know where you're at on that. I feel like I'm at the very extreme of everything. It seems like I've always been kind of at the extreme. INFJ, all the way at the bottom spectrum of introversion, right? The rarest form of introversion, right? To shyness, to lack of self-confidence, to a lot of different things, right? And it's all part of the process, learning and growing and understanding, and then learning how to act or behave or to exist within an environment, right, where it's a bit confusing, a bit challenging. And so I'm going through the process, right? And again, I'm sure I'm not the only one. There's others out there who it may even be further, introverted than I am. I don't know. I kind of always, like I said, think I'm like the only one. I think I'm an alien at some point, because I just got so many things going on, and it all has to do with, my upbringing. I've dealt with quite a bit of trauma coming up. Dealt with some really terrible relationships. So life hits you, right? And you try to get back up and get going, and then you get hit with something else, right? And just keep getting hit, But the key is is keep on going, right? Keep on going, keep living, keep existing, keep trying, and to get to a point, right, where you can actually just enjoy life for what it is. Um, and I hope that you're much younger than I am, and that you can figure out these things a lot sooner than where I am in my life right now, because there's a lot of good or opportunities that have passed me by, because I don't know, I didn't put in the work. I just kind of accepted what it was, or what I thought it was, and I didn't realize that there were so many things going on inside of me, that I needed to figure out. Okay. I mentioned that I didn't learn about introversion until sometime this year. I've always said, I always knew about the scale, but I never really dug into it deep enough to understand how it impacts your life. All right. And so, that's what this podcast, vlog, this conversation is all about, is understanding who you are, understanding your personality, understanding all the other things that affect you, and just trying to figure out how to not let those things, right, take away so many years of your life, right, where you've missed out on things. Okay. So it's now that we need to figure out who we are, and how we exist in this world. And so that's my thought. That's what came to me last night. Helicopter flying over. You see it? Turn this way. There we go. So that's it, right? That's what I want to put out today, right? Because again, these are some things that are going through my mind, things that I need to figure out. I would appreciate, any comments, suggestions from anybody out there, right, who's watching this, right? If you're going through some of the things that I'm going through, some things that are similar, if you figure things out, that's great too. Please share, because the only way we get better is again, we try, and we also hear stories from other folks, right? People who are going through similar situations. So let's do this together, right? That's what it's all about. So this is Introvert Barry. You can you can find me on all the most of the social platforms as Introvert Barry. I believe the Facebook page. I think the page and my profile. Now on TikTok. I haven't put any content out on TikTok, but I'm on there. Twitter, the Twitterverse, or X, whatever they call it now. Reach out to me anywhere, wherever you're at. All right, let's and on YouTube, of course, right? And let's form a relationship, right? We're in this to win it. We're in it together. All right. So that's it. Take care and God bless.